Greetings, one and all, and welcome to episode number 48 of Thoughts and Hunches, making money in bunches and sucker punches. Your boy Stoney is back for the 48th time, and I'd like to welcome all of my favorite lowlifes, hoodlums, cheats, hustlers, scumbags, fienders, degenerates. You're all back for the 48th time to see season 2, episode number 15, because all I do is drop winners in your lap, and I'm coming off one of my best weeks ever. The best week I had ever was earlier in the season when I went 29-9. Last week, not much worse. The numbers. Let's get to the numbers. How did I do last week in giving my fantastic selections to you? Let's start NCAA football. How about 8-3? How does that sound for you? All right, 73%, knocked it out of the yard, and kicked everybody's ass along the way. 8-3. Yes, that pushed my record for the season to 135 and 100 with two pushes. That's 57.45 in college football. That's exactly what we were shooting for. 57 was the goal, and the 8-3 pushed us over the top to 57% on the season. So 8-3 in college football is solid, is great, is fantastic. We'll do that every week, right? Also, on that same day, basically, Saturday, we dropped 10-5 on you, college basketball. 66.6%. Take that every single week. That pushed our record to 29-16. That's 64.44% in college hoops already. And that was with a 10-10 start. So, if you think of that along those numbers, that means I've gone 19-6 the last 2 weeks in college hoops. Just stupid numbers. And finally, as if those two numbers weren't good enough, NFL rolled around, and how does 10-3 sound? Yeah, I gave myself 10-3, and here's why. Because I know some of you will say, well, I don't know, you lost the Giants game. I gave you the Giants game before Daniel Jones was ruled out. He got ruled out a couple hours after I posted my video, and the numbers soared through the roof. Anybody that took Giants last week was a fool. So I switched. I took Miami, and Miami danced. 10-3, all right? You want to give me 9-4, you can give me 9-4. I don't give a shit. 10-3, all right? 10-3, 10-5, 8-3. Just crazy numbers. 28-11 on the week last week. Yep. Yes, sirree. I dare anybody to do better than that. 70% for the week. The numbers are just mind-boggling right now. My NFL numbers are 99 wins, 61 losses on the season. That's 61.87%, untouchable right now. Does anybody hit 61% in the NFL? Yep, you're listening to him right now. That's right. It's that time of year. There's no sports on Friday night. Well, I certainly ain't going to watch the NBA. So I'm watching Swingers. You're so money you don't even know it. Yep, Vincent Favreau. What are you going to do? Anyway, so before I get to the picks for this week, two things, right? Army-Navy tomorrow. It doesn't get any better than this. It's on my bucket list. It's one of those things that I'd like to do before I die, is go to the Army-Navy game and freeze my balls off. It's either in Philly or New Jersey. This year it's in New Jersey. And it's always cold. And just seeing the cadets and the midshipmen in their uniforms take their places in the stands is just, oh, man. If that doesn't make you proud to be an American, I don't know what does. Then the game is just always a battle. They call it the world's greatest rivalry in any sport, where for 4 quarters and 60 minutes, these two teams hate each other. And as soon as the game's over, they're all on the same side. President of the United States, Mr. Let's Go Joe Biden, will be tossing the coin. That's also another big deal because they're playing for the Commander-in-Chief's trophy. Well, if Army wins, they win the Commander-in-Chief's trophy. But anyway, that's another thing. It's just Army-Navy is such a big deal that it gets its own Saturday. College football is played every Saturday throughout the fall, but this kind of signifies the beginning of winter. I know the official first day isn't for another week or two or whatever, but this kind of starts it because this is the last game of the regular season for college football, and bowl season is next week. So I do have 2 bowl games for you anyway, but yeah, bowl season's next week, so this is it. So even if I lose the last 2 games, or I'm going to give you the side of the Army-Navy game as well as the total. So even if I lose both, I'm still over 57% on the season in college football. Top notch. I'll take it every day of the year. So Army-Navy, just tune in, even if it's just, tune in a half hour before through the first quarter, right? That's basically it, right? You watch that. You'll feel better about yourself. I always do when I watch that game. Someday I'm going to go. Who knows? I'm only a 2-hour flight now from New York and 2-hour flight from Philly. So it's possible. Maybe in the next year or 2 or 3 or 4 that I'm going to make it there, but I will go. Anyway, Army-Navy tomorrow. Make sure to tune in. Number 2, the other thing I wanted to talk about, NFL. Last Monday night, we saw the New England Patriots beat Buffalo by running the ball down their throats. It was blizzard conditions, 50-mile-an-hour degree winds, snow. We saw it. You guys saw it. We all watched it. And Bill Belichick showed why he's the greatest coach of all time in what he did. The game plan he put forth was perfect. He ran the ball and ran the ball and ran the ball. They threw the ball 3 times. 2 of them were screen passes. Mac Jones was 2 for 3 for 19 yards. And they won. They beat a Buffalo team at home, they beat a Buffalo team on the road and did it well. And Belichick, although he's gotten a lot of praise for it, I still don't think he's gotten enough. And here's the thing. Here's my take on that. Mac Jones, a lot of praise for him this year. He's played well. He hasn't played great because he's not great. He's got a lot of work and a lot of learning to do. He's in the perfect system right now. He's a game manager, which everybody hates being called. As a 49er fan, I heard Alex Smith called that for years. Mac Jones is a game manager. Do you think for 1 second that if Tom Brady was still Bill Belichick's quarterback, that he would only throw the ball 3 times? No, of course not. You want to know why he only threw the ball 3 times? Because he doesn't trust Mac Jones. So just run the ball and run the ball and run the ball. Ultimately, that's going to be their undoing in January when they get behind in the playoffs, and they're going to need Mac Jones to step up and make plays. It's going to be tough, but their defense is solid. They run the ball well. They control the line of scrimmage. And I like New England. I like New England a lot. I really like what I've been seeing. But I just wanted to point out the fact that for those of you that want to praise Mac Jones and drop all these accolades on him, just think about that for a minute. If there were any other quarterback in there, aside from Mac Jones, do you think Belichick runs the ball that often and only throws 3 times? I think not. Anyway, those are my takes. So let's move on to the picks, okay? We're going to start tomorrow with the aforementioned Army-Navy game. 3 p.m. Eastern Time, CBS. It's their tradition. This one is played at Snoopy Stadium in New Jersey, East Rutherford. There shouldn't be any snow, but it's going to be cold, and as always, and it's just a fantastic matchup. Here are some numbers for you. 8 years ago, Navy just finished off beating Army for the 12th straight year. Their domination from basically the turn of the millennium, to about 2012, 2013. That's when everything kind of turned, and Army started to take over from there. Coach Ken Niumatalolo, the head coach of Navy, has guided Navy to 10 bowl games and 6 commander-in-chief trophies, which is the best record between Army, Navy, and Air Force. And they've won it 6 times under Coach Ken. He does a great job. He learned under the great Paul Johnson and the triple option, who left and went to Georgia Tech after that, and has done a fantastic job. Army, on the other hand, is going for their 5th win in their last 6 now, after losing those 12 straight. And they're looking for their 4th Commander-in-Chief's trophy in the last 5 years. So those are big numbers. And Army does it with a stifling defense, and they're number 2 in the nation in rushing, which these 2 teams and Air Force are always near the top, and usually all 3 academies are in the top 5 in rushing in the country, because that's what they do. They run that triple option. They're number 2 in the nation in rushing at 301 yards a game, which is just mind-boggling. They've had a fantastic season. And they're the better team. And they're 7-point chalk here against Navy. I don't remember the last time I've seen that big of a number. Last year, Army won 15-0, shutting out Navy and winning really easily behind a very good defense. And that defense returned 7 starters this year. And they've kept it going all season this year. Navy is number 7 in the nation in rushing at 228 yards a game. So this is always a battle. It's about pride. It's about civic. It's about honor. And, I love everything about this game. These guys have to put in 5 years of service to the country. That's what they signed up for. And like I said, when the game's over, they're all on the same side. So in this instance, I'm going to take the middies. I'm going to take the midshipmen plus the 7. Just seems like a big number. Can Army win this game by double digits? Absolutely. If they do, would anybody be surprised? Not many, but I would. I'm going to take Navy in this one, as Coach Ken and the middies keep it close and close enough to come in under that number. As far as the total goes, the total comes in. Here's the funny thing. I remember being in college, and this total was always in the mid-40s, sometimes the high 40s. And the game just always seemed to go under every single year. Well, in the last 15 years, the under is 13-2 in this game. Obviously, Las Vegas has gotten hip to this. They know this. They're smart people, and they keep dropping the number lower and lower and lower. They're begging you to take the under. This year is the 2nd lowest total in the history of this game. The 122nd meeting between these two. Think about that. Just stop and let that resonate. They're playing each other for the 122nd time. Amazing. Anyway. This is the 2nd lowest total ever. It's 34.5, and I'm still taking the under because it just seems like the thing to do. That's right. So the 2 plays for the last regular season game of the season: Navy plus 7.5, under 34.5. Those are your 2 picks. Now, college football bowl season begins next week, and it begins on Friday. Now, Friday is the day that I put out my pick. Now the 1 bowl game will be played next Friday morning, and the 2nd one will be played Friday evening around the time that I'm recording this. So I want to get these picks into you, and I'm going to get them into you after I cover the NCAA basketball and the NCAA football. So if you want bowls and you want to skip over all the rest of the stuff, just go ahead and fast forward right to the end of this, and you'll hear my selections for the 2 bowl games next Friday. But in the meantime, let's move on to college basketball. Saturday, full slate of games. Very, very busy slate of games. And we're going to hit as many as we can. So here we go. And we're going to go pretty quickly because there's just so many of them. NCAA basketball, Saturday, 11:30 a.m., Nebraska versus 18th ranked Auburn. This one is down on the plains in Auburn. Auburn's 13.5-point favorites. I like the Huskers. Auburn's playing well, but Bruce Pearl was just suspended for 2 games it's Bruce Pearl. Bruce Pearl always gets suspended eventually. Auburn wins, but Nebraska covers. I'll take the 13.5. Noon Eastern time tomorrow. 24th ranked BYU, 5.5-point chalk at Creighton. I like BYU. Creighton's good, very good team, solid. BYU is just better. And BYU would almost be a double-digit favorite if this game were played in Provo. I'm going to take BYU because I'm telling you, the WCC is going to have at least 2, possibly 3 teams in the tournament this year. I'm saying 3, possibly 4. That might be a stretch, but I'm saying the WCC gets 3 teams in to the dance this year because we know Gonzaga's in and BYU is going to probably be in too. So there's 2 right off the bat without even thinking. Anyway, BYU minus 5.5 at Creighton. Take the Cougars. Also noon Eastern time. If this doesn't harken you back to the days of Jim Boeheim and John Thompson and Pearl Washington and Patrick Ewing and Allen Iverson and Carmelo Anthony, Georgetown, Syracuse. It doesn't get any better than this. I mean, this is old school. These two teams just don't like each other. There's mad respect between I already said it, John Thompson and Jim Boeheim. John Thompson, R.I.P. But it's just the schools know that it's going to be a war. It always is. It always has been, and it will be tomorrow. Well, I'm taking Syracuse minus 3.5 at Georgetown on the road. Syracuse right now is a little more trustworthy. Georgetown's defense has been a little suspect, and they're not defending the perimeter well enough. And Syracuse is going to bring that zone, and we all know what that means. Anyway, moving on. Noon Eastern time. Here's a good matchup in the Big Ten. 2 ranked teams. 22nd ranked Wisconsin is heading up to Columbus to take on 21st ranked Ohio State. Ohio State's 4.5-point chalk. They're coming off a big win over Duke, which opened a lot of eyes. They're a fantastic team that spreads the ball around. They go inside out to create their threes, but Wisconsin's just bigger and stronger right now. I'm going to take Wisconsin. I'm going to take the 4.5 on the road and dance with the Badgers. 1:30 p.m. Oklahoma minus 1.5 at home against 12th ranked Arkansas. Arkansas right now is looking like they could be a beast in the SEC. I mean, they were last year. The SEC has a lot of very good teams. Maybe not a great team, but between Kentucky and Tennessee and Alabama and Arkansas, there's a lot of talent in the SEC, which is why they have more ranked teams right now than anyone else. Do they have a true national championship contender? I don't think Kentucky's there yet. I don't think Alabama's there yet. I think the closest team to a national championship contender would be Arkansas, but they're still trying to find their way after losing 2 players to the NBA last year. But they are 9-0. And Dio from South Florida, his boy, Eric Musselman, fantastic job at Fayetteville. So I like Arkansas a lot, but I don't like them tomorrow. I like Oklahoma. Oklahoma's playing well. They're at home in Norman. They're only 1.5-point chalk. I'm going to take the Sooners minus 1.5. 2 p.m. Eastern time, the Salukis of Southern Illinois head to Tulsa to take on the Golden Hurricane of Tulsa. Tulsa is 2.5-point favorites. I like SIU. Right now, the Salukis have played well. They've won 2 out of 3, but they've covered 3 in a row, and they seem to have gotten things together where Tulsa's still trying to find their way. Take the Salukis plus the 2.5 on the road. 2 p.m. Eastern time, down in Starkville, undefeated Colorado State comes in at 9-0, and they're 2.5-point favorites against Mississippi State. I'm going to take Mississippi State in this one. I'm going to take the points at plus 2.5. Ben Howland, no, has nothing to do with his former UCLA pedigree, but there's one thing he does: he defends. Colorado State's a good team, a very good team, a dangerous team that could do a lot of damage out west, and they can open a lot of eyes, and they will. I think they're a tournament team. But so is Mississippi State. And Mississippi State at home is a tough out. So I'm going to take the Bulldogs at home plus the 2.5. 2:30 p.m. This one has the makings of a good matchup. 4th-ranked UCLA heads to Milwaukee to take on Marquette. And UCLA's 5.5-point chalk. Marquette's solid team. Very good team in the Big East. And they're playing well. They're playing better. UCLA, all anybody remembers is their blowout loss to Gonzaga. They were overranked. They were overranked. Well, since then they've quietly just been dismantling teams and winning big. UCLA is a dangerous team. They could have Cody Riley back from injury tomorrow, and that just adds to the firepower for a team that already goes 10 deep. Once Cody Riley comes into the mix, they'll be 11 deep, and even if he does play tomorrow, he probably will play sparingly, but UCLA is just too talented here. I'm going to lay the 5.5, take the Bruins on the road. 3:15 p.m. Here's another great historical matchup. Missouri heads down to Kansas, heads down to Lawrence to take on the 8th-seeded Jayhawks of Kansas. Kansas 22.5-point shock, huge number. Missouri has kind of has fallen on hard times, but I don't care, how hard they've fallen. Kansas at in Lawrence, Fog Allen Fieldhouse. It doesn't get any better than that. It's probably that and Cameron Indoor Stadium are probably the two best home court advantages, unless you count the Kennel up in Spokane as the three best home court advantages there are in all of college basketball. But Fog Allen Fieldhouse is one of them. Now, don't get me wrong. Kansas wins this game going away, wins it easily, but by 23 or more, nope, I'm going to take Missouri. I'll take them points all day long. 3:30 p.m. 15th ranked UConn is 3.5-point chalk against the visiting Bonnies of St. Bonaventure. St. Bonaventure right now is a very, very good team, very dangerous team, and I have them going a ways this year. They have the talent, and they have the athleticism, and they've got the size to make a run in March. Well, they're going to start it by winning at UConn tomorrow, by winning on the road. I like St. Bonnie's here, plus 3.5. I'm going to take the 3.5. But you want a little more for your investment, take them on the money line because St. Bonnie wins outright. Moving on, 6 p.m. Eastern time, down in Atlanta. 25th ranked LSU comes into town, 9.5-point chalk against the Yellow Jackets of Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech is okay. They're pretty good, but they're getting ready for the ACC, which we know that is always loaded. And LSU has snuck into the top 25 all of a sudden with a hot start by beating a bunch of nobodies. So is it go Tigers? Oh, maybe not. Guess not. No Tigers. Sorry, LSU. You're out. No LSU tomorrow. LSU wins. Georgia Tech covers. Take the 9.5. Moving on. 8 p.m. Eastern time. Here's a good matchup. VCU versus ODU. Virginia Commonwealth takes on Old Dominion. This is a good matchup in the state of Virginia. VCU right now is just the better team. 3.5 just seems like an easy one. It could be trapdoor city, but I'm going to take VCU. I'm going to lay the 3.5. 8:30 p.m. tomorrow night, Western Kentucky heads down to Oxford to take on Ole Miss. Ole Miss is 5.5-point chalk. I'm going to take the Hilltoppers of Western Kentucky and take those points. At 5.5, Ole Miss wins. WKU gets the cover. 8:30 p.m. tomorrow night, Cincinnati versus Xavier in the Crosstown Shootout. They call it the Crosstown Shootout. They might as well call it the Cross Street Shootout because these campuses are so close to each other. We all remember the brawl. These two campuses hate each other. They're always fighting over bragging rights in the city. Forget about the state, but fighting over bragging rights in the city of Cincinnati. Xavier is 7.5-point chalk. They're at home at the Cintas Center, and they should be favored. They're the better team. Xavier wins. Cincinnati covers. Take the Natty plus 7.5. Finally, 10 p.m. tomorrow night, the Degenerate Special. Yes, there has to be a Degenerate Special, which I have now hit 4 consecutive weeks. 2 in a row now, thanks to the University of California Berkeley Golden Bears. Love betting against them. I wish they were playing late tomorrow night. I could bet against them, but they're not. So, I did hit them last week in betting the under against USC, and that was easy. And then 2 weeks ago, saw UCLA curb stomp Berkeley, because that's what they do. So anyway, Cal fans, sorry, I still laugh at Cal fans. They're almost as bad as Miami fans. Unbelievable. At Miami, that's another story. I don't even want to get into their head football coaching search. Anyway, Degenerate Special Saturday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. 2 ranked teams, the game of the day. Number 14, Houston, heads down to Tuscaloosa to take on 9th-ranked Alabama. Bama's a 1.5-point chalk, and here's the thing. Right now, I think, because Alabama beat Gonzaga last week, everybody's a little bit hot on Alabama, and they should be. And like I said, Alabama right now is arguably the best team in the SEC, right? Arkansas is right there. Kentucky's right there. Tennessee's not far off. There's a lot of good teams, and LSU behind them. There's a lot of good teams that are slowly creeping in. But Alabama's a good team, solid team. They're going to go deep this year. 9.5-point chalk, ranked 9th in the country, 1.5-point chalk. But right now, Houston's the smart play. Kelvin Sampson, Houston, they're ranked 14th. Nobody gives them any love because they don't play in a Power 5 conference, but they made the Final 8 last year. Houston's a dangerous team, and I like the Cougars, so I'm going to take Cougar Paw plus 1.5 on the road at Alabama Saturday night. Those are your 15 NCAA basketball plays for Saturday. Now we move on to the NFL. After I pounded some more on the Vikings last night, and then had to sit there and grab my nuts and hold on and scream and pray because they almost shit all over themselves and cost all Viking backers money. No, got the win. I'm red hot in the NFL. I've been hot all season, but I'm right now it's pretty easy to say that I'm the hottest that I've been all season. NFL, here we go. You ready? Sunday. We'll start in Cleveland. Good matchup. AFC North. 8-4 Baltimore comes in as 2.5-point dogs to the 6-6 dog pound of the Browns. I like Cleveland. I'm going to lay the 2.5. Cleveland's been like this. They've been up and down. Baltimore's the best team in that division. They'll probably win the North, but who trusts them, especially the way that they've played the last couple weeks? They don't inspire a lot of trust. Neither does Cleveland. But you got to take somebody, and right now Cleveland seems like the smarter play. I'm going to take Cleveland because I like the way they're running the ball. It's going to be a close game, but Cleveland ultimately wins with a late field goal and gets the cover. If the line's at 3, buy the hook and move it down to 2.5. Take Cleveland minus 2.5. There's your winner. Moving on, staying here in Nashville, Jacksonville, the Jags come in at 2-10 to take on the 8-4 Titans, who've now lost 2 in a row, but they're coming off a bye week. It's supposed to be wet all night tonight with tornado warnings all throughout southern and western Kentucky and western Tennessee. It's going to rain, it's going to pour, and tomorrow on Saturday it's supposed to rain all day. And anybody that's ever watched a Titan game at Nissan Stadium knows they have probably the worst playing surface. Now, they're not expecting rain on Sunday. The sun's supposed to be out, but I'm just not expecting a clean surface there. This is where Derrick Henry would thrive. Jacksonville's not very good. Tennessee's lost 2 in a row. They're looking to make a statement, especially coming off a bye week. I'm going to take Tennessee. I'm going to lay the 8.5. It's a big number to lay, but I'm going to take them and lay the 8.5. Moving on, the Raiders, Las Vegas, move in at 6-6. They head to Arrowhead to take on the Chefs. The Chefs are 10-point chalk, and at 8-4, the Chefs have ripped off 5 in a row. They're one of the hottest teams going, along with the Dolphins and the Patriots. But right now, Kansas City seems to have righted the ship. The Raiders, since they were 5-2, I said they were the most, them along with the Saints, were the 2 most overrated teams in the NFL. Well, since then, the Raiders have gone 1-4. Coincidence? No. It's just I've been right about these things. Tomorrow, the Raiders have their number. The Raiders always play Kansas City tough. They beat them last year. They beat them. It doesn't matter. It's not going to happen tomorrow. Not the way Mahomes is playing right now. Kansas City's defense has been playing excellent. Their offense really hasn't, but this is the time to get right. Kansas City wins this game and wins it going away. This game's over by halftime. Take the Chefs, lay the 10. New Orleans, speaking of the teams I said was overrated, I said they were overrated when they were 5-2. They've lost 5 in a row, and they're now 5-7. They're 5.5-point favorites, though, on the road at Snoopyville in East Rutherford, New Jersey, against the New York Jets. Yes, the mess that are the Jets. I'm going to take the Saints just because I love Robert Saleh in New York, but the Jets are a mess. The Jets team, they inspire absolutely no confidence. Neither does Teddy Two Gloves. And, Teddy Two Gloves is no longer in New Orleans. Neither does New Orleans' precocious quarterback situation. But I'm going to take the Saints here. Kamara's going to play finally, and I'm going to lay the points. 5.5 seems like a bit much for a team that has lost 5 in a row, but I'm going to take the Saints to right the ship and cover the 5.5. Dallas comes 8-4. Dallas is 4-point favorites in Landover against Washington. The Redskins are the WFT are 6-6. I still call them the Redskins. Anyway, Washington's hot. Dallas has not looked good lately, but Dallas is still the class of the NFC East, which ain't saying much. Dallas wins this game as 4-point chalk, but the WFT, the WTF, they get the cover. I'm going to take Washington plus the 4 at home. 2-10 Houston is at home, and they're 8.5-point dogs against the 4-8 Seattle Seahawks. Seattle's 4-8, Houston's 2-10. Is this a runaway game? A run far away game? Yeah, it's two bad teams, and neither team's going anywhere. They're kind of just playing out the string, as Seattle looks like this is going to be it for Russell Wilson and Mr. Pete Carroll. Peter. Sorry, I think they're both gone this year. I think Seattle's rebuild has already begun, even though they won last week, and they're going to win this week. It's not going to help. They're 4-8. They're 8.5-point chalk, but I'm going to take Houston at home, even though they lost at home, got shut out last week at home, 31-0 to Indianapolis. I don't think that's going to happen again. Davis Mills is starting at quarterback. Shit, you could start Davis Love III at quarterback, and he could probably cover this number because Seattle just ain't having it this year. Take Houston plus the 8.5. Moving on, Detroit with their 10-1 record and coming their 1-game winning streak for the Lions. The Lions are 10-point dogs heading into the Mile High City. Denver 6-6. Denver is battling for a playoff spot. I think that if the season ended today, they'd be in the playoffs. But Denver, to beat anybody by 10 or to beat anybody by 11, I don't see it. Sorry, that's the Teddy Two Glove situation. I'm going to take Detroit. Detroit's covered 3 in a row. They're playing well, and they fight. They're not a very good team, but they fight. I'm going to take the points. I'm going to take all 10 of those. Speaking of 10, 7-5 Chargers at home at SoFi take on the traveling Giants. The Giants travel cross country. They're 4-8. The Chargers are 10-point chalk. Take the Chargers, lay the lumber. This one gets ugly. The Giants are a mess. Chargers win by 10. 6-6 San Francisco. The Niners are 1.5-point chalk as they head in to the Queen City to take on Cincinnati. The Bengals are 7-5, and both teams are they don't know what they can be. Both teams are in the playoffs right now if the season ended today, but Joe Burrow has too many interceptions. The 49ers have too many injuries, especially running the ball. They don't trust their quarterback. It's this is a really strange game, but I'm going to go with the Niners because even though they lost last week and they blew a 9-point lead, they should have won that game, which would have given them a 4-game winning streak because they seem to get Elijah Mitchell and all their ducks in a row. But Elijah Mitchell has to play on Sunday. If he doesn't play, the 49ers are in serious trouble. Anyway, I'm going to take the Niners anyway. I'm going to lay the 1.5 in Cincinnati. 9-3 Tampa Bay is 3.5-point chalk at home at Raymond James, taking on the Bills. The preseason, actually, this was a lot of people's picks for the Super Bowl at the start of the season. The Bills have fallen on hard times. They've lost 4 out of 6. They're now 7-5. But the Bucks are 9-3 and cruising and doing their thing. Tom Brady's looking great again. He's the favorite for the MVP. Rob Gronkowski looks like he's 26 again. Buffalo just can't beat anybody. And until they do, I don't trust them. I'm going to take Tampa at 3.5, lay the 3.5 at home. 9-3 Green Bay on Sunday night is at home in Lambeau against the 4-8 Bears. The Packers are 12.5-point favorites. They might as well be 30.5-point favorites. Take the Packers. Sorry. You remember what they said last time. Aaron Rodgers, I own you, to the Bears fans. He probably does. Now they're at Lambeau. This one doesn't end well for Chicago, even with Justin Fields starting again. Sorry. Take Green Bay at home, lay the lumber, and just hope Chicago doesn't backdoor you. Finally, Monday night, Rams versus Zona. The Rams head to the desert. Arizona already's got a win at SoFi earlier this season when they knocked off the Rams, punched them right in the mouth. Zona's got the best record in football at 10-2. They're at home. They should win this game. They're 2.5-point favorites. That tells you something, which is why I'm on the Rams to even the score, get things back to, because I just don't see Arizona being an 11-2 team. They're very good. They're loaded. They won 3 games without Kyler Murray, or they won 2 out of 3 without Kyler Murray, but Murray's back, he's healthy again, and the Rams haven't inspired much confidence, but I like the Rams in this spot. I'm gonna take the 2.5 on the road in Phoenix. Finally, that's it for the NFL. So that's 13 NFL plays. Yes, that's 13 NFL plays. So now we're going to go back to those 2 bowl games I told you about. These 2 games are for next Friday. So the day that I put out my video, this way you can have some action on those 2 bowl games. Now remember, bowl season is really up in the air. You've got players that decide to sit out to prepare themselves for the NFL draft. You've got coaches that have left. You've got interim coaches stepping in to fill in. You've got players that have already entered the transfer portal, and it's just a mess right now. So it's hard to gauge what teams are playing for something and what teams have that testicular fortitude inside and actually want to win a bowl game, because a lot of them just mail it in. Hey, we made the bowl game, cool. Let's go out there. Let's enjoy the vacation. Let's make our money, and win or lose doesn't matter. Who gives a shit? Just don't get hurt and let's go home. Well, we're going to play them all. I'm going to play every single bowl game with every single total, and we'll keep a running total as we go. So next Friday at noon, December 17th, we start in the Bahamas. Nassau, the Bahamas, 12 noon Eastern Time. Conference USA, Middle Tennessee, taking on the Toledo from the MAC. Toledo is 10-point favorites, big number against MTSU. MTSU finished the season strong. They won 4 out of their last 6. They're 1-2 non-conference schedule, and they were 5-4 in conference. They were a middle of the road team. 30 points per game they scored. But Middle Tennessee always seemed to play a lot of close games, and they seemed to eke out a lot of games near the end, which made them bowl eligible. Toledo, on the other hand, was the favorite going into the season for the MAC. To win the MAC. They went 2-2 non-conference. They went 5-3 in conference. They've won 3 in a row, and they've won 4 out of their last 5. Their whole team revolves around running back Brian Koback. He's a star. 1,289 yards rushing, 16 touchdowns. They score 34 points a game because, well, they're from the MAC. Doesn't everybody score 34 points a game in the MAC? But 10 points is too much. Toledo is favored by 10. I'm going to take MTSU, take those 10 points all day long. As far as the total goes, the total is 52.5. I'm going to take the over in this one, where some people might say no, because MTSU is going to keep that scoring down. I think MTSU has enough to keep up with them. I don't think Toledo's going to hang 50 on MTSU, but they could hang 40 on them, and MTSU can score 31. Or come in at 38-30. And there's your over right there. So I'm going to take Middle Tennessee State plus 10, and over 52.5 in the Bahamas Bowl. Finally, last game of the week, the Cure Bowl in Orlando. Also Friday, December 17th. This one will be at 6 p.m. I'll probably be doing next week's video while this game is on. But I want to let you guys know who I like so you can get down on them. Another team from the MAC, the Northern Illinois, the Huskies come in as 10-point dogs against Coastal Carolina out of the Sun Belt. Coastal Carolina the last two seasons is, they had rankings. They got as high as number 13. They started the season 6-0. They finished season 10-2 though, so they finished 4-2 down the stretch. Their losses were to Appalachian State and to Georgia Southern. Their quarterback Grayson McCall will probably be in the NFL. He won't be a starter, but he'll be carrying a clipboard for a while in the NFL. He could be a Gardner Minshew type character in the NFL. 23 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He's been fantastic this year in the Sun Belt. They average 40. And they average allowing 20. So 40 and 20, those are solid numbers. And they take on the Huskies of Northern Illinois. Kind of came out of nowhere. They went 2-2 non-conference, and then they went 7-2 in conference. They won the MAC championship last week with an impressive win as dogs. They have a balanced attack. They score, but they also allow a lot of points because, again, they're in the MAC, and everybody does that. So that's their big concern, is that they allow 32 points per game. Now, can Coastal hang 50 on them? Sure they can, because NIU's defense isn't very good. But I'm going to take NIU again, plus 10. 2 bowl games. 2 10-point dogs to start bowl season. I'm going to take them both. I'm going to take NIU to keep that one close, and I'm going to take the under 62.5. This one, final score could be somewhere around, 34-26. There you go. How's that? All right. Actually, 34-26. Yeah, that's 60. That's an under. So there's your under right there. NIU and the under. So my 2 bowl games for next Friday in the Bahamas Bowl, MTSU plus 10, over 52.5. Cure Bowl in Orlando, NIU plus 10, under 62.5. Those are your 2 bowl games to get you started. So that's it for me for the week. 2 NCAA football regular season games, 4 NCAA football bowl games I just gave you. That's 6 NCAA games right there. 13 NFL plays, 15 NCAA basketball plays. That's a grand total of 34 picks for the week. We're going to take 19 wins. 19 and 15 is a winning week. Anything more is just gravy. We're going to shoot for 20 and try to keep this hot streak rolling. So just remember that if you want to win big, you got to bet big. To me, the action is the juice. There's money on the streets that can't be ignored. And finally, good luck to you.